I've spent a lot of time today just thinking about various things, and then later throughout the day I decide, well, I'm gonna make another video, because I guess I just liked making it, and I don't know how much time I have to make this video. Maybe it'll be around 20 minutes, 15 or 10. It'll be somewhere around that, but sorry, I apologize. This is going to just be another rambling thing. But this time, I was able to think a lot more about various things and what I actually talk about. And I guess I'll preface it with this. This is a thought that keeps on ringing throughout my mind pretty much daily. I can't go a day without thinking of this, and it's been months, I think. But it's just, I feel inhuman. Like, throughout all my experiences, it just leads down to that as a quintessential concept of my whole life. I just feel inhuman. And because I just study people like they're lab rats. That's kind of how I study them. I study their whole history, I study their behaviors. I do all of those things, I do everything. I study them, but I don't talk to them. I don't really try to converse with them, especially those of my age. I guess I do converse with them online, but offline I can't really do that, and the ones I do converse to online are generally outliers with the human race. Just more eccentric, more odd, more, I guess, less normal, usually neurodivergent. I don't really like the terms neurodivergent, neurotypical, it just sounds sort of gay to me. Because they're trying to make mental illness gay by making the autism all rainbow colored, stuff like that. But that's besides the point. I just get onto random tangents, and I guess it does make sense to get onto random tangents because this is a rambling video, one where I'm just meant to talk about whatever comes to my mind. And what's currently coming to my mind right now is my early school years, because this was a time where I actually talked to others my age, and I conversed with them, things like that, and I learned things. Yeah, but pretty much the only memories I have of me talking to people, conversing with them, having friends, I suppose. It's strange, because there's one big memory I have. This would be around pre-K. I really wanted to run, because I wanted to be seen as cool, I suppose, and even at such an early age, the hierarchical mentality that is present in humans was starting to emerge in myself, so I'd be seen as, I guess, cool by my peers and be more revered or respected in some ways. Of course, I couldn't exactly understand these concepts at the time, though I likely could if it was explained in certain ways. But that's probably making noise. I'm hitting this brush against my arm, but I have a feeling that it's being picked up. Anyways, so I see this kid, and he's the fastest kid in the block or school. The school I went to at that time for pre-K, it was like some church, and it had a school program, so it was that. And I saw the kid running around the playground, and then I went up to talk to him, I guess, to learn his tricks, his techniques, and he actually talked to me, and then what he said seemed to actually be quite wise for what a child would say. And it still stuck with me. I don't remember what he said anymore, but just the scene itself, the colors of the sky in the background, bouncing off his dark skin, the yellowish hue of the sun, all of that, as I just listen to what he has to say, and I try taking it to heart. And what and his little speech just rang through my mind for years and years afterwards. I only really started not, I guess, forgetting what he said when I was around 10 years old. That's the time I could date it at, 10 years old, but most likely. And another thing, I guess around from that time in school, I know I had issues with my teeth, and they kept on I use lots of crowns, not crowns, or I'm just getting onto a complete tangent. I'm sorry, but I used these gray teeth that were fake to fill in lots of gaps. I don't exactly know why, because I guess it just that the teeth didn't grow in yet or something like that. I guess the baby teeth fell out, and I used that to replace them for the time being. But while I did all of that, I just remember being in all the pictures, and I think that pre-K years when I first got them. So if you ever see pictures of myself, and if I ever see pictures of myself around that time and my mouth's open, it'd be silver. But there aren't really any pictures of myself from such a young age that exist anymore. Most of them got wiped out because they were on my grandmother's phone, and it fell in the pool, and then all of it's gone. Everything. So all those years are just, I have no memory. I can't see them again. So I guess someone would find that as sad. I just see it as the way it's meant to be. A time that you can only recollect from using your thoughts. And of course it's going to be inaccurate, but it'll make the time seem more glorious and grand in the grand scheme of things. And what other early life things can I remember? But besides, I think I already spoke about how my life was when I was living with both of my parents, and how that turned out. Oh, I should talk about this. So speaking of my parents, I used to live in a big mansion. I still do. I live in another big mansion now. But when I was living in that big mansion, my dad came over after losing custody of me, and I let him stay. And he had my mother with me, and they didn't know that my mother was with him. So what he'd do was that he hid my mother in like the closet in the guest room. And I used to go up to her and just play with her, do things like that. I haven't really been able to see my mother much. I haven't seen her in years. But she seems good. I don't really have any qualms with my mother. I wish I could see her more. Perhaps get to know her, because she doesn't know anything about her first son. She had 2 other kids with another man, and I don't really know them either. I've seen them, and they're sort of Hispanic. One's named Pablo. I think the other has a white name. It doesn't matter. But, unfortunately, I ended up ratting my mother out, because I found it so cool that my mother was just inside of my house, my new house. And I just was like, wow, mother, you're here. So I guess I excitedly told my grandmother that my mother was there. And I feel bad for it. But my grandmother told me that she found my mother in the closet. And that probably led to something. After that, I just couldn't trust my dad much for years. They hold such grudges over their children. To this day, they still think that I just lie all the time, because I used to do that when I was 6. They never really even know me, really. They just put on these false accusations of my character. and they do the same thing to my father. But that's besides the point. I guess if I had a child, or if I have a child in the future, it seems unlikely. I just feel like I'll be dead or something. But if I have a child in the future, I'd treat it very well. I mean, it. I guess I'd treat him very well, or her. It doesn't matter. I'd foster the kid's interests. I'd explain calmly when the kid does something bad, something I don't like, or just misbehaves. I could tell the kid why it's bad and provide examples. I wouldn't really yell or hit my children. I feel like they probably did that with my father, because my grandfather would just yell and yell and yell. And he did that when I was a child as well. He'd yell at me. Now I don't really do anything that's misbehaving, because I just stay in my room. So he doesn't really have much reason to yell. No. But yeah, I do lots of good things with a child. Perhaps it could actually bring my life more purpose, and I could feel more human. But my child, I figure, if I have one, it would be a very odd child, much like myself, because I wouldn't really know how to make it connect with any peers or anything like that. Kid would probably be homeschooled, because the education system has become complete and utter dog shit. So that's unfortunate. But, I don't know, maybe I could find some friends for the child, because I don't want the kid going insane early on. Though it's the child's choice. If the child wants friends, the child can have friends. I guess I'd at least try to be. I would be my child's friend, for the most part. And perhaps you can learn with others his age. I'm just getting on to tangents, because I don't even know where to find a mother for the child. I could likely love someone, like I said, it would be like the mother of the child. Of course, I'd stay with that mother. But the mother would probably be mentally ill in some way, because I just can't find myself liking a normal girl at all. So, combined with what I have and whatever the mother would have, the kid would probably end up kind of mentally ill. But I could provide the best childhood I can for the kid. You'd be better off than lots of others. So at least there's that. And I'd be knowledgeable about lots of things. I could foster the kid. I could probably turn into a good scientist, something like that, because I'm always interested in all these fields of technology, other things like that, history, culture, chemistry as well. I want to synthesize my own chemicals and things like that. Just experiment a lot. And I could foster lots of ideas within a child. You also watch good things, not the complete and utter slop that will take over all entertainment for children by like the 2030s or somewhere around that area. Because if I do have a child, I'd likely do it at a young age, because I don't see any point in spending all of my 20s and 30s just doing surrogate activities. There's no real joy to be brought from it. You don't advance anywhere. You never progress, you never regress. It just keeps on going and going and going. And then eventually all your hair falls out. And then eventually you shrivel up, wrinkle up, and you die, never having achieved anything really. And that's sort of how most people are going to be nowadays with this generation. They will shrivel up, wrinkle up, or die, or they'll just die beforehand, because it's looking bleak. But I'm trying to see, or trying to think of more things I could say. But yes, recently, like earlier today, I went around. I was walking in the backyard of the massive house, and I the grass. It was weird on my feet because I was just wearing socks and I didn't like the texture. Sometimes there were little patches of wetness that I managed to walk over, so I didn't like that at all, not one bit. But it didn't make my socks wet, thankfully. So I was looking for solid ground, and I found that on the grave of my dog, Mia. And when I first saw Mia, I was around 4 years old. And what I did was I chased her around the massive house because I was brought to live there. I don't think that I was brought to live there at the time. I was probably 3 or 4, and I was sent to see my grandparents every now and then by my parents. So when I saw the dog, I'd be so happy. And the first time I ran, I chased the dog around the entire massive house, and that was nice. So I really did love that dog, and it was a nice dog, very calm. And yes, I just really loved her. I'd say that's one of the times I actually really experienced love for another being besides those that's pure familial. Like, I do really like my dad, and I'm neutral about my mother because I can't really know her. My grandmother and grandfather just seem ignorant about things, but they're still good at heart, I believe. And now I lost my train of thought. Oh, yes, the dog grave. There were earlier times where I went through a similar thing, like walking in socks and go to the dog's grave and hunch over. One of those times I uncovered that the paint on all the rocks in the grave, which like lots of the rocks were there, and they were all painted to show, I guess, the love for the dog. But only one of them persists today, and it's just the word love. And because everything else had got brushed away by the rain over the course of 6 years, and the few that survived were stuck in were kind of buried under all the patches of grass. And throughout all of that, it just made me think how much change is happening, how I don't like the change. Recently, I saw that this kind of toy thing that I used as a little kid was in the dumpster. Not in the dumpster, but they threw it away. And those big kind of dumpster things that it's hard to explain, but the things that the garbage man collects and puts in his truck, with the big arm, the big metal robot arm, those things. And I saw, it was kind of like a board, and there were these little images you could put on the board to complete it in order. I can't really even explain it right now. If anyone has questions, they could go to comments or DM me on something, and I could provide an illustration. But anyways, I saw 3 of those in the trash, seemingly all of them, and it really annoyed me because they were throwing away part of my childhood. So I go out and I bring it up. Days later, I see that it's back in the garbage again. So they must have seen it being quite literally raised from the dead, and they just put it back because they don't care about my childhood. That's all I just try wondering about. Because I'm not sure how different it is from right now. Not much has really progressed. Of course, I guess knowledge has progressed, but that's all that really has. Knowledge and other pursuits, not social knowledge, but I guess I actually have gained lots of social knowledge from my study of human beings. So I'm able to text lots of things. I guess I'll end this video now. It may be different from the other one. I may have a different theme, but for now I guess I'll just end the video. It's been 20 minutes already. Goodbye.